For our political and ideological lives. What was America is now under siege around the world. This is a dangerous, dangerous time for the world. Are we moving to a time where the 1980s has been forgotten? People are viewing it like not a warning.
The only way perpetuated democracy is by people sharing those values and thinking that that is something to be upheld.
I mean, Trump is a symptom of a lot of things, including a rise of a kind of ethno-nationalism and authoritarianism, but he's a symptom who's become a very important cause. The United States is standing against ethno-nationalist sentiments and authoritarian regimes around the world. I think that puts a certain amount of check on them. With the American president on the top, it's a control shot in the arm for them and an exponential weakening of liberal democracy around the world.
I actually go back to, believe it or not, chimpanzees. You know, when Jane Goodall was observing chimpanzees, you know, one of the things she showed us is how loving they were, you know, and how human they were.
And cute.
And she bonded with them and formed these relationships with them. And then the males would compete for dominance. You know, they'd pound their chest, and they'd throw dirt up in the air, and they'd throw heavy rocks into the river to show who was more powerful. But no one ever really got hurt. It was all called display behavior, just to sort of show who was the toughest, and that person would become the alpha. What happened, though, after many years is that troop that she observed became so big that they split into two troops.
Cute.
So everything she taught us about chimpanzees is really what we would call within group behavior. It says nothing about between group behavior. Once the troops had split apart, a very aggressive, charismatic alpha male from one of the groups would start beating his chest and hooting and slapping the other males and getting them excited, and then he would start marching towards the other group's territory, and the other males would follow him. And they would wait at the edge of the territory for another male, maybe even someone they were friends with, when the troop was one troop, and they will barrel down the hill and beat that male to death. They'll do that
Yuck.
systematically until they're able to take over the other group's females and their land. Now think about this from an evolutionary point of view. Whose genes got to move on? The troop with the malignant narcissistic leader said, let's go kill all the other chimpanzees. So this is very deep in our genetic programming. And this is why demagogues like Trump are able to be successful. Because before Trump, we had fractures in our society, but we had this overarching identity as Americans. Donald Trump fractures it and says, no, we're actually two troops. And our troop is being attacked by that troop. And if we don't go over there and beat the crap out of them, they're going to destroy us. And that is like a siren song to the deep genetic programming in the base of our animal brains that, yes, if somebody convinces us that other troop is trying to kill us, and I don't care how bad my leader is, but he's the one who's leading us to the edge of the troop, so only one of us is going to survive. Who cares if he's a liar? We want to survive. And the only way we survive is by attacking those other people. That primitive programming is actually not atypical. They're not anomalous. They're not unusual. Humankind has been at war in every place at every time, right? And they've been horrible to, in war, to burning down villages, raping women, torturing people, killing people. That's actually normal for the human animal, unfortunately. It's the psychology of power. We all tend to fall behind the powerful leader out of self-preservation and out of group preservation. It's the natural instinct. What do you most fearful of this president?
Nuclear war. I mean, that's the long term. I mean, that's the biggest risk, is that he gets in a confrontation with a foreign leader, North Korea, with China, where his ego's on the line.
Several months ago, a foreign policy expert on the international level went to advise Donald Trump, and 3 times he asked about the use of nuclear weapons.
Oh,
3
wow.
times he asked, at one point, if we have them, why can't we use them?
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury, the likes of which this world has never seen before.
A president of the United States, even if he's being a showman, saying that we will bring fire and fury to your country, that is an implicit nuclear threat. Donald Trump does not have the temperament to be around these systems.
Welcome to the White House. This ceremony and the treaty we're signing today are both excellent examples of the rewards of patience.
It was 1987, and President Reagan and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev celebrated the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty as calming Cold War tensions. The INF scrapped thousands of ground-launched nuclear and conventional missiles at ranges of 300 to 3,400 miles.
Moscow and Washington have repeatedly accused each other of violating the treaty, a deal that helps to protect the security of the US and its allies in Europe and the Far East.
Okay, that looks
Russia
scary.
has condemned President Trump's intention to withdraw from the pact, the deputy foreign minister saying it would be a very dangerous step.
The President of the United States is a nuclear monarch. He is a king. There are no safeguards other than his whim that determines when he launches an atomic bomb and where. The briefcase that he has, the football, is a communications device. And all it does is authenticates him to the nuclear arsenal's chain of command.
Unlock code entered. Juliet, Papa.
And it executes his order once he has authenticated himself.
Mark,
T-minus 50.
Not one bomb's going. Multiple bombs are going. So when you choose that option, that missile will blow that country up in 35 minutes. And there is no turning it off. Once they boost into space, they're gone.
The president has the authority to order a nuclear attack, including a first strike, and it is extremely unlikely that the military command would not take his orders.
The president can decide that France is a national security threat, and he can order an ICBM strike.
that's not the correct procedure.
Screw the procedure. I want somebody on the goddamn phone before I kill 20 million people.
Sir, we have a launch order.
3,
Put your hand on the keys, sir.
1, launch.
So what do you say to people who say that Trump is a bluffer, he's a strategic thinker, he won't do this? Are you willing to bet your children's life? Are you willing to bet the lives of every person in this nation? And if you're willing to say that about any person who will pathologically lie to you, to your face, documentable, quantifiably lie to you, your wife, your children on a daily basis, then you don't really understand what the stakes are.
Nope.
We cannot allow that kind of gamesmanship to continue. This man controls those weapons.
I don't think you can understand Trump or much else of what's going on in the world today without factoring in the effects of death anxiety. Are we doing what we're doing for the reasons that we claim? Or could there be something that lurks beneath the surface of consciousness? In The Denial of Death, Becker argues that it is our awareness that we will inevitably die and our inability to accept the reality of the human condition with grace and courage that underlies almost all human activity. What what Freud pointed out is that we're animals, and we don't like that. We're breathing pieces of defecating meat that aren't any more significant or enduring than lizards or potatoes. So if you think about it, I'm gonna die, I could walk outside and get smote by a comet. You wouldn't be able to stand up in the morning. You would literally be overwhelmed by paralyzing existential terror. What we do to bury that anxiety is to embrace belief systems that life has meaning and we have value. In a single word, culture. So the prevailing belief in the U.S. in the last century is that, America's the home of the free and the brave. Anybody who works hard enough can be just as successful as Oprah or Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, that we will always be the world's foremost economic as well as military power. And so, one of the first knees in our psychological groin was 9/11, when both our military and economic power had been challenged. Then we get clobbered with the recession, combined with globalization, combined with demographic reality that by the middle of the century, white people will be in the minority. And so for many Americans, their worldview have been completely upended. So fast forward to 2015, Donald Trump declares that he's running for president. He comes down the escalator. He's like, Mexicans are rapists. I'm going to keep you safe. And I said to myself, that guy's going to win.
The American dream is dead. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back. Bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
When the psychological shit hits the fan, if you'll pardon the expression, and when people are economically and psychologically insecure, when somebody comes along and confidently proclaims in very simple terms that they will keep them safe, they will make them prosper, they will bring back the good old days, that's the psychological hook. If you look at it, from a detached perspective, we're really at a crossroads. The impending environmental apocalypse, juxtaposed with simmering ethnic tensions, juxtaposed with rampant economic inequality. And here we have Trump magnifying all of those difficulties. What Trump also did masterfully was to take non-existent problems and render them potentially traumatic by grotesquely overemphasizing the danger. Once you get on board psychologically, once you commit to a demagogish ideologue, that puts up a fact-proof screen between you and the world. Once you are fully on board, there's no rational argument that will alter your opinion. There is always a tendency for charismatic leaders to bring out the tribal nature of humans. It is very easy to lapse into an us versus them mentality. Rationality will lose every time.
Where is the red line? Where do you say, okay, hey, no mas, I'm not supporting this guy anymore? Where is the line? So it's obviously been crossed by many people. But for me, the line would be when you look at our documents and you look at our Constitution, North Korea, Russia, Venezuela has the exact same language. Go look at their Constitution. They have the same flowery language related to human rights and all of that stuff. But what makes us unique is the checks and balances and the power diffusion in the construction of the government. So if Trump starts to trample on that, then I'm going to turn on them. Have to. You can't disrupt a 243-year experiment for one dude's personality.
It has now been a week since the Centers for Disease Control confirmed the first community transmission of coronavirus in the United States.
We all have personalities. Some people are more dependent. Some people are more aggressive. It becomes pathological when you see the whole world through a screen that makes everything fit your need.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus.
It's not just being manipulative, it's a fundamental inability to not be that way.
In this big, vast land of ours, this great country of ours, we have 240 cases. Most of those people are going to be fine.
Donald Trump doesn't care about experts.
To weigh in on this issue of hydroxychloroquine, what do you think about this, and what is the medical evidence?
Maybe 15 times.
He only cares about people who will tell him what he already wants to hear. He makes himself ignorant about almost everything because he only wants to hear what he wants to hear.
We have it so well under control. I mean, view this the same as the flu. When somebody sneezes, I mean, I try and bail out as much as possible. And I haven't touched my face in weeks. In weeks. I miss it.
And one of the most devastating things he's been doing is to emotionally train Americans not to care about others, to extinguish compassion and extinguish kindness in themselves. He terms it being tough.
He is giving people a license to hate, to provide a source of anger, to go after each other. How are we all tolerating this? Loyalty is not blind obedience unless you're supporting a demagogue, okay? And so you don't want to ever be like that in your life.
Relax. We're doing great.
The Dow is now down nearly 900 points.
Economists have been ramping up their projections. The virus spreading explosively, like, quote, a bomb.
To be president, you have to exercise good judgment on behalf of the American people for their interest.
They have to go back to work. Our country has to go back. Our country is based on that. I think it's going to happen pretty quickly.
It's got nothing to do with the safety of the people. It's about him. It's not about the country.
He spent a lot of time on Twitter today boasting about the excellent television ratings his news conferences have received lately.
We have Monday Night Football type ratings, and that these are like Bachelor finale.
He's not fit because he is unable to think. He can only react and attack.
What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's really bad reporting.
He is unfit to be president because he cannot think.
The U.S. is surpassing Italy as the country with the most fatalities.
He says he wants to reopen the country with a big bang.
Pursuing truth is to the mind like food is to the body. Without pursuing truth, your psyche starves. And Trump's psyche has been starving for a long time.
Say, sir, what metrics you will use to make that decision?
The metrics right here. If we can hold that down between 100 and 200,000, we all together have done a very good job. I am very proud to be your president. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
He's detached from reality. I mean, this is just demented.
Oh, shit.
The founding fathers always knew that a king like tyrant would try to rule as a personal dictator and use the powers of the presidency to enhance or enrich himself. But they never foresaw the Senate and the judiciary might completely abdicate their responsibilities and go along with that.
The natural tendency of history in many ways is towards greater liberalism and altruism. But human nature has these competing forces. And so what we're seeing now is this amazing regression, right? From where we were, we are literally going backwards, I think, a century or two. We all have to do everything that we can do because our society is at risk and we could lose it all. We could lose this grand experiment in democracy. I think we're more than halfway there. I think people don't realize how far this has actually progressed.
When you're in a period of rising authoritarianism, it's very easy to get exhausted because the news comes at you like bullets from a machine gun, all of it bad. One of the best weapons against authoritarianism is protests in the street. And protests are key because not only does the leader see that he's unpopular, but even more important, his allies see that the public is actually against them.
Think of what you tell your kids. You tell them to be honest. You tell them to tell the truth. You tell them, don't think of yourself. Don't brag. Don't trash other people to make yourself feel good. How can you support Donald Trump? How can you support somebody who essentially violates all of the things that we want them to follow? It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's corrosive for them, it's corrosive for you, and it's corrosive for the country.
This is a phenomenal country. It's one of the most unique historical experiments in the 5,500 years of recorded history. We have to figure out a way to help people and bring them into the new world of globalization. They have to feel like they're part of the aspirational success of America that our parents felt.
I believe at our best that we have the capacity to radically reconceptualize who we are and the extent to which that we can accept our commonality as human beings. I think therein lies the key, because then there's no one left to hate. And that's not going to stop us from hating. But as Ernest Becker put it, maybe we can hate stuff that we should, like poverty and injustice, and maybe we can then use righteous indignation to everybody's best interest.